There's nobody watching. I salute you, nobody. Wow. I think I just figured something out. Oh, there's two of you. Hello. I didn't realize that. Sorry. I hope you didn't see me staring at cheesecloth and wonder, what is she doing staring at cheesecloth? I am doing pretty good. I have myself all set up here with my little plastic spin clean thing, and I have a few records that I can wash. I've been saving this for a while. I've had it just sitting there and I'm like, I should use it, but I don't want to just use it by myself. So I assembled it already just to kind of speed things along. It comes with these brush things that go inside it like this. And it's got these rollers that go inside like so. Now, I'm going to get some distilled water, because distilled water is what they say to use. I'm just following the directions. So, fill the thing up. Oh, that's weird. Okay. That freaked me out for a second there. Ooh. No, nothing to be scared of. There's a fill line, but because there's brushes in there, it takes a minute for both of the sides of the tank in here to fill up to the line. It looks like I'm filling two, but I'm not. It's interesting. All right, there we go. There. And that there like that. I even have a handy dandy little brochure. And it says you fill it up to the fill line, and this cleaning stuff goes in. So I'm using a 4-ounce bottle, so I need 2 capfuls of fluid. Okay. Oh, whoops. I didn't know that was still sealed up. Go. All right. You're supposed to wet the brushes with it, so that's what I just did. In case you're wondering, I'm not sure how much narration you guys really need. I'm doing this. Okay. Pull the lid out of here. Now, as a little fun aside, before I actually wash anything, I got a record when I was going to bed earlier yesterday. This came to my door, and I was like, oh, I can unwrap it while everybody shows up for the live. I'm sorry, I've missed commenting. Hello, hi. Rangers baseball, yes. How is the game going? So I'm just opening up this record. This is my record seam ripper. Record ripper. Okay. I'm saving the sticker. I'm saving the sticker. Gotta save the sticker. It's important. These are the laws of the record universe. Anyway, isn't that a cool album cover? I always thought it was a cool one. I bought it on CD when it was new in 1993. So here we are. It says you're supposed to put, got a hair on it, that's great. It's supposed to go in like this, looks like. Oh, okay. That appears to actually work. All right. It's literally Armstrong steering. There's no motor assist or anything. It's just my hands. There we go. Washy, washy, wash. I don't know how important it is to wash just a brand new record, but it came with these two cloths, and it's really funny because they're like, don't use just any cloth, you got to use these cloths. And what I was doing when I first started the live is I found some cheesecloth in my kitchen, and I was like, this looks like cheesecloth a lot, this stuff. It's just many, many layers of cheesecloth. And yeah, I think it is, because I folded my cheesecloth up. And I was like, it's the same stuff. Good to know, because I saw a stack of these cloths. They only give you two when you buy the thing, but they sell the stack of cloths for like $40. And I'm like, $40? That's a lot of money for cheesecloth. Just saying. Anyways. Yeah, I like this album cover too. I always thought it was kind of, I don't know what like era of art that is. It's old-fashioned though. I guess why I like it so much is that the album title is Hints, Allegations, and Things Left Unsaid, and there's this, you know, big mouth guy, ah, you know, and it's like, right, things left unsaid. Okay, now I'm gonna lift that out of there. All right, I have myself here a wet record. I'm just gonna, they say to do it in like one direction. Don't quite know. I feel like I need another, like a dish rack for for these to dry fully. One direction self, don't go two directions. There. Well, seems clean and dry. That's cool. Not gonna complain about that. I will listen to it later and see. Yeah, that dried really fast. I don't need a dish rack. It's okay. What are you guys saying over here? Oh no, your team's not doing good. That's too bad. Oh, hello, Sophie from Waco. You're clean. Good. Oh, Another cool thing that came in the mail, one of the reasons I really like collecting records, especially if I can get them from overseas, is sometimes you get the coolest record mailer. Like, look at that. Look at all those stamps. This record came from Sweden, the one that was in here. And it's just like covered in stamps. I'm trying to think of what I can do with these cool stamps. If anybody has ideas, that would be great, because they are really, really neat. And I don't know, it seems a shame to throw it out. You know, I don't want to just throw it away. In this box came this record. I got it a little while back now. This is actually vintage. It's not a new pressing at all. And you can tell it's a really skinny, that's a skinny little record. Oh, what are you saying? Lots of stamps, I know. It's not that I don't want to play the records, but I don't know if I can because of copywriting issues, right? But I will definitely report back after listening to it and see. I'll especially report back after listening to like this record that I've already heard, after washing it, to see if it makes a difference. Because I don't know if it does. This record is 35 years old, and you can tell because it's so skinny, and I'm terrified of wrecking it. Terrified of bending the thing. Alright, go to come. Nifty little feature about this device, this gadget, is that you can move the little rollers that are inside. There's like markings in here for like a 12-inch record, a 10-inch, or a 7, which is real nice, because then you can wash your 45s if you need to. Although I think, yeah, 45 would fit there. Yeah, it would. Yep. If anybody knows what that means. There we go. Just drying. I'm excited. I have all my windows open because it's warm. I hope it's like warm and comfortable where you all are. Not too hot, but you know, a nice temperature. There we go. Did I get it? There. Fabulous. I promise. I will play the record when I can, and I will report back and let you know if this was indeed worth the endeavor. It might be, it might not be. I don't know. The next sort of piece of equipment that I want to find is, maybe anyway, is a dust bug. They tend to be called dust bugs. They're these nifty little things that go on your record while it's playing, and it's supposed to clean up any lingering dust on the platter surface so that you're not going to get so much crackling going on. At least that's the theory. Frame the pack. Yeah, I was thinking about framing it. I could. The only reservation I have is that it's cardboard. It's just like a cardboard box, like corrugated stuff. So it's gonna get all yellowy and brittle over the years, although maybe that won't matter because it's in a frame. I don't know. I should ask my fellow, she's an artist and she runs the shop downstairs in this building. I should just pop in her store and ask her, what should I do with the cardboard box? Is it worth framing it? Because she frames things. Is that okay to frame? I'm sure she'll have feelings. Let's see. It's chilly. Oh. Well, yeah. From what I understand, UK weather is like that. It's kind of like that in the lower mainland of BC, where I used to live, and Vancouver Island as well. It's very rainy, and it can really switch around. It can be super rainy and then sunny and nice. Like, very British that way. What's my weather like today? I think it's supposed to get up to, I should have looked it up in Fahrenheit. It's supposed to be getting warm today though. I think it's about, it's gonna sound cold when I say the number, but I think it's gonna be about 33 Celsius, which is, I wanna guesstimate like either the high 70s or like the low 80s Fahrenheit, something like that. Like it's not super warm, but it's comfortable. It's warm. I can wear my short sleeve dress and not freeze and have my windows open at the same time. So I'm happy. I'm a happy camper. It's 42. I can't remember. What do you guys use in the UK? Do you go with imperial when you're talking temperatures or not? That's always an interesting topic, because here in Canada, like as a rule, it's not universal, but it's a rule. If you're talking about rate of travel, like in a car, that's kilometers, not miles. If you're talking like weight and weighing yourself on a scale, for some reason, we're not talking in grams or kilos. We're talking in pounds. For some reason, it's imperial. Same with your height. That's all imperial here. I don't know. I don't know why. But I also understand, though, that in the UK, you guys use miles when you're talking about driving in a car, like in a vehicle. Miles, I think, right? And you have your own gallons, because there's US gallons and there's other imperial gallon, I guess. These are the things that I'm always thinking about. 74, that sounds like a good temperature. It's not too hot, but it's not too cold. Yeah, 74 Fahrenheit. People are happy. There's motorcycles. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm just talking and reading your comments and getting distracted. Sorry. Okay. It's funny to call it a little machine because it's hand powered, but it's a neat little gadget. Yeah. Tragic Kingdom. In case you're wondering what I'm washing. Okay. So in case you didn't see me do this before, there's like these little brushes inside. Here, I should have put you down. This is what it looks like inside. I hope you can see. There's water in there, so I can't tip it too far, but there's those brushes right there in the middle, and there's these rollers on either side, like that. And that's sort of what helps the record turn in there. And the brushes are quite tight, and they hold her all together. There we go. And you just do this. I watched the videos to see how you're supposed to use this thing. Interesting little note about this device. There were two that I found that I could buy. One of them was cheaper by about $25 or so, and this one was the more expensive one. And I was like, why is that one so much cheaper? I wonder. And I read the different reports, and apparently this one is more expensive because they used yellow. It's a yellow plastic. And as far as marketing goes, the yellow is, they claim it's better because you can see dirt and stuff that fell off your records inside there, and you can judge if your fluid is still clean. To be honest, I bought it because I liked the color, and totally silly reason, but also the other machine that was black, it was black in color, and it, here, just let me, there. You can see, flares out really nicely on the bottom, which I feel is important if we're going to be dealing with water and stuff. And we're trying to wash things and not spill everywhere. The other machine was just straight, just a straight up and down thing. And I was like, see, that's gonna be tippier, and I don't think I want that. I think it's worth the $20 for the aesthetic yellow and flared base. There you go. I shouldn't say flared base too many times in a live. I'll probably get in trouble. People will get the wrong idea. There. That does look shinier, I gotta say. You know what? I have a whole bunch of new records like this to wash, but a part of me is kind of thinking I should wash something old. Hold on. Something I've heard many times, so I know the record and I know what it sounds like, because they have personalities. Hold on. I'll be right back. I should have thought of this. Ugh. Okay. Oh, here's one. Okay. Here's one. This is an old record, not new. This belonged to my mom in 1972. There's her initials that she wrote in pen. And there's my initials there. I hope you can see them. I wrote my own initials next to her initials because I was a dork, but also because I wanted to have my own little claim to record. So this record is 53 years old now. It's had some adventures. It's a good album. If you've ever heard A Song for You, you should. One of my favoriteest songwriters wrote A Song for You, Leon Russell. So good. If you've not heard of Leon Russell, look it up. Look him up. He's awesome. Is it just water? It's distilled water and this cleaning fluid that it comes with. I've looked for ingredients to be like, what is this? I don't know, but there's no ingredients anywhere, like online or on the bottle itself or in the little like handout that comes with the machine. Like, it's like, what is it? Because replacement bottles of this are not cheap either, sadly. So it is some kind of cleanser. It doesn't smell like, there's no like ammonia smell or anything, so, or alcohol, like it doesn't smell like rubbing alcohol or anything. So I don't know what it is. I thought it might have a smell and we would find out, but it doesn't smell. I guess that's a good thing. gotta say, it's really cool. The size of this thing is perfect. Your label doesn't get wet. My mom told me when she was a teenager and listened to records like this very record right here, she used to wash them like plates, but it was a problem because the labels would get wet sometimes. This one apparently never got wet, but other ones did. This found a wet spot. Well, I don't know if you can tell on your end. The scratches are still there, obviously, but it looks cleaner and shinier to me. I will give it a try. I will, I promise, and I will report back, most certainly. Fun little side note, this inner sleeve, it says, as an anti-pollutionary measure, this inner sleeve is made of 100% recycled paper. See? Right there on the bottom. This last little line of text. That's so cute. Even in 1972, they were like, pollution bad. Did we listen? No, we didn't listen. Because here we are. So, yeah. Anyways, what else is going on over here? I'm not sure how to clean them. My son, oh, a gramophone, like a proper gramophone, like a Victrola with a horn on it or something. That's immediately what I think of, the really old. But you might just be calling it a gramophone. With records, I'm not sure how to clean them. Overwound it. Yeah, that sounds like an actual, like, Victrola kind of device, not a phonograph. Yeah, I hope that you can get it fixed. Sometimes those really old ones, they're so cool. I love them. They're beautiful, but they're hard to find parts for and hard to find people who know how to fix them too. Motorcycles. Motorcycles are running by. Mariah Carey, huh? I've been building up my collection of Diva records. Mariah definitely counts as a diva in my book. I have Celine, I have, who else? Lots of Celine. I would count this as a diva album. Paula Cole, certainly her moment. Yeah. I've listened to this record once already, so I know that it sounds good. We'll see if it sounds any nicer though. Yeah, it's an antique. Yeah. Does the horn on the machine have like painted flowers? I've seen on like old antique shows, some people keep the Victrola horns that they had and they're like, whoa, they're really ornately painted, some of them, the very, very old ones. Those are neat. Very, very rare though at this point. You burned your arm. Yes, I burnt my arm like 2 days ago when I was working. Story of my life. Everybody's always like, oh, you're burnt. So I'm like, yep, I always have a burn or two. It's actually not as painful as it kind of looks. It looks a little bit just because I just put some salve on it so that it'll heal. But I promise it's not like killing me or anything. I feel like it might be a fun little acid test. I should see if I have duplicate albums of something and bring one that I've washed and one that I haven't washed to the record store just down the street, because they've got really fancy equipment that I don't have, and it would be interesting to see if on their machines they can hear a difference. That would be the scientific way to go about it. Relatively, anyway. Okay. What album? What album am I watching right this moment? This album, right this moment, is in my hands. Mariah Carey's very first album from 1990. I remember all these pictures when they were on CDs all those years ago. It's really, really interesting to do this because 35 years ago, I remember when my parents were getting rid of the records and buying all the CDs. And the CD player itself, I'll never forget that. It was like $1,000 for a CD player when it was new. I remember it real well because my parents were like, that's a lot of money. I don't know. It's like more money than their entire stereo system in the 70s cost. She looks different there. Yeah, well, that's 35 years ago. So she's 35 years older now. Here's another one. This is her second album from 1991. Got me feeling emotions. I can get some more music too. Like, I have male vocalists in my box that I can pull out. Because I know all divas all the time can be a bit much. Frisbee album, no. I always liked pop though, back in the day, so that's why I bothered to buy it, because I was like, I know some people are really, really not into pop, and they only want the rock and roll, and I get it. I like rock and roll too, quite a bit. Happened to my arm. A sheet pan happened to my arm. I pulled it out of the oven and had nowhere to put it and bumped into something, and it bumped into me. So that's what happened to my arm. It's okay. I feel like I say that a lot to people when they see my wounds, because I've got quite a few old scars. And they're like, oh my God, what did you do? I was working. Sorry. Literally an occupational hazard, getting burnt. There we go. Let these air out for a sec here. Cloths are getting damp. There. I made a short and posted it to my Instagram yesterday with the, I posted it here too, of, it was either yesterday or the day before that I posted it. It was one of the Whitney Houston albums that I got. And a commenter on Instagram was like, I was a serious metalhead in the 80s, so I'm not supposed to say this kind of a thing, but he was like, but this was a guilty pleasure and I liked this album. And it was a Whitney Houston album. And I was like, nice. I can respect someone who, you know, can admit that. We all have our guilty pleasures. So I went on to say, well, it's kind of like, yeah, in the 70s, if you were into, say, Zeppelin, but you also were fond of the Carpenters or Barry Manilow or somebody like that. It was always kind of a, shh, we don't talk about that. But rock on, right? What the heck was that? It's a stupid hand gesture. Oh, George Michael, nice. I actually have an album of his. It's late in the mail because there's an impending postal strike going on, but it's coming. It was his album from 90, I think it came out in 97, 96 or 7, called Older. It's a really good album if you like George Michael. It's got kind of a smooth jazz kind of a vibe to it. It's a good record. Oh, I'm not showing you what this is. Meatloaf. Huh? Meatloaf. Doo-doo-doo. Bat Out of Hell 2. Go. He died, and I'm sad that he died. A part of me wishes we could ask him nowadays. Like, have you thought about your Celebrity Apprentice days and kind of have feelings about that? But he passed away. He passed away in like 2022, sadly. Berry Marshmallow. Nice. Oh my god. I got the song Mandy in my head one day, and I went down to the old bakery where I used to work with my old boss, and I was just kind of, you know, humming along, you know, Mandy. Oh, Mandy, you came and you gave. How does it even go now? You know, Mandy, that song. And my old boss had a hate for Barry Manilow. She still does. It is a deep hate. And I was like, oh, I just have Barry Manilow in my head. And she's like, that is a fate worse than death. She was so like, whoa, okay, chill, relax, girl. She's like, I hate Barry Manilow. And I'm like, why? Holy cow. He's a good songwriter, very good singer, good piano player, very popular entertainer, sold a lot of albums. And she's like, because he sings of love that does not exist. And I was like, oh, that's sad. Now I'm bummed, right? But that was her thing. If my sister was around in the live somewhere, she would be piping up being like, I love Barry Manilow and I have the Barry Manilow clock. She does. She's got a clock. That is Barry Manilow. It's a picture disc of Barry Manilow, like his greatest hits picture disc, and it's got like a clock hands on it, and it's a functioning clock. It's cool. I bought it at like a thrift store. She bought it at a thrift store. I forget. One of us bought it though. And it was like this ironic, funny clock. And I know she's still got it. Oh, I know. Silly Meatloaf is a funny name. I think his name was something like Marvin a Day. I think. Somebody can fact check me on that, but it was something like that. It was like Marvin something. It was a surprisingly kind of nerdy sort of name to me. No offense if somebody's named Marvin out there, but he didn't look like a Marvin at all. Yeah, he's 53. Oh, George. Yeah, George Michael was not old, that's for sure. Although Meatloaf was not old either when he died. You know, if we're being honest. I don't know how old he would have been, but not old though. Oh, Quagmire. Nice. I remember The Simpsons. They had a song. It was Homer singing to Marge. Oh, Margie, you came and you found me a turkey on my vacation away from worky. It was something like that. Something really dumb like that. If I'm not mistaken. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I think it was like that. There's like a turkey behind the bed or something. It was silly. You came and you gave without taking. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say a minute ago, but it just wasn't coming out. I'm still washing Bat Out of Hell 2 because it's a double LP. Okay. Well, there's a little bit of dust at the bottom of this thing. That's, I guess that makes me feel good. Makes me feel like I'm doing something. I don't know why that is. It's kind of like soap. If it doesn't lather to a certain extent, then it feels like you're not washing what you're washing. It's psychological, I think. What state am I in? Are you asking me or are you asking somebody in the audience? I'm not in the States. I'm in Canada. In British Columbia. Canada, what? Yep. That's where I am. I've lived here basically my whole life, essentially. Hey, dust, get off. All right, so there's that done. Putting away carefully. Because if you drop these in too fast, then they get stuck and it damages the spine of your album. And then you can't read the spine anymore and you're just like, what album is that? I can't read it because it's all split and broken. Because I ruined it. Can you tell I was brought up by like ridiculously perfectionist people? You can't do that. Let's try a picture disc, shall we? Hi, Solomon Project. Canada, the 51st state. No, it's not the 51st state. I don't think you guys would want us as your 51st state, because we would be an awfully blue state. The biggest, bluest state, I would say. We'll wash a picture disc. How about that? Picture disc. Let's see how washing a picture disc goes. I know, I've heard about that PVC sleeve thing from my record store friend just down the block. He's like, yeah, those plasticky sleeves are not very good. And I'm like, shoot. But he's got some other ones, so that apparently don't hurt it and scratch it. I guess there's a difference. Some certain plastics are softer than others, and that's why the other kind will scratch the surface, unfortunately. Do a backflip. Bye, Erwin. Yeah, that's right. Polypropylene is like the appropriate plastic, whatever that means. Okay, let's see. All right. I don't know if it's going to be as easy to see. Something I've learned after collecting as many picture discs as I have, if you only want to hear like one particular song on one, they're hard to do that with. It's hard to cue because the grooves are harder to see. I learned that. I also learned that it's really hard to cue clear records because you can see all the way through, so you can't actually make out where the line is for your needle to drop. There we go. I love this guy on the bottom here. He's just so like, I'm a tough blonde guy. I'm tough. Because I'm not smiling and I'm kind of looking down. I'm just teasing. But it is fun to see these albums in the larger format because you can kind of stare at the album art a little bit and kind of study it the way it doesn't work that way on CD anyway. At least it never did for me. So you notice these things, or I notice these things, like, wow, what is with that haircut? I mean, I'm not criticizing. A lot of boys are wearing their hair like this now. Like it's kind of long on top, but very, very short on the sides and back. I remember telling my school friend, or my kitchen friend, that about my school friends, being like, boys are getting haircuts the way boys I remember in being in school with getting their hair cut 35 years ago. And it's popular again. Go figure. Okay, off we go. Ooh, this is a fun one. Yeah, Ace of Base was sure fun. That's actually a funny one because when that was brand new, that song, All That She Wants, in 1993 in the summer, I happened to be in Italy that year, and it got really, really popular and was on. I remember my aunt absolutely hated it. She hated that song like a lot, and it was on like every single radio station everywhere we went. Of course, 1993, radio stations, I have to say. We did not stream any audio in those days. And I remember we were staying in a resort hotel, and on the main strip of this beach resort where we were, every car that was going by, all that she wants. And my aunt was just like, I hate this song so much. And we were like, yay, we're hearing the same song. The things you remember. Oh my God. So whenever I hear that song, I think of her, how she hated it so. Dorothy Hamill. That's a familiar name. I feel like I'm driving. Perpetually turning right. Okay. This one shouldn't be too hard to cue because it's opaque and one color, so hopefully this one will be all right. Although, to be fair, I was more expert at record cueing when I was making mixtapes. Does anybody know what that is? Fabulous. That looks nice and dry now. It's a nice robin's egg blue. I really like this one, I gotta say. When I saw it, I was like, that one comes home to my house with me. A cool thing I learned too from reading the liner notes in here, Whitney Houston did all the vocal arrangements on this album. I had no idea. I didn't know she arranged. I thought she sang. I mean, not saying that's not enough, but I was surprised to see that she did the arranging. That's cool. Meatloaf, Marvin a Day. Okay. I wasn't just making that up. I thought I remembered that from somewhere. It was catchy. Yeah, for sure. I remember my mom saying that it reminded her of ABBA. And it was my mom's sister who actually liked Ace of Base quite a bit. It was my dad's sister who hated it. It's very funny. Yeah, it is a good color. Another good record color that I got. I mean, that's my MO with record collecting. If I can get it in something other than standard black, then I will. Because why not have the coolest record, coolest copy? Unless it's a fortune, unless it's like really, really, really cost prohibitive. Like, for example, this one, really good record, it's standard black. Why is it standard black? Because I found a red, like ruby red version of it for a stupid amount of money. It was like over $400 or something ridiculous. And I'm like, I am a sucker and I will spend stupid money on records, but not quite that bad. I don't think I need the album for like $400. I think I'll just get it on black. But this is on peach. This is kind of a neat one because it's translucent peach. Interestingly, I have another peach record. They were in here someplace. Oh, I left it in the cabinet, but that's right over here. Not very far away. It's a very small place in here. Over here somewhere. Where is it? Now I'm feeling kind of silly. Oh, it's here. It's got to be. Here I go. I'm like, I have it, it's right here, it's right here. Oh, I do have it right there. I was more prepared than I thought. Look at that. Holy crow. I got up and I didn't even have to. It was in the box right next to me, but here, I'll show you. If I can make my fingers work. Come on now, fingers. See? When I was shopping online, this Whitney Houston record looked like it was gonna be like orange, like opaque orange like this from the picture. But then I got it and it was like this. And I was like, oh, I mean, that's okay. But at the same time, I was like, I wish there was an easier way to sort of find out. Is it opaque? Is it translucent? Does it have speckles in it? Because this one's got like specks in it, which is fine. It just is hard to cue. Yeah, colored records. It's the way to go, at least to me anyway. In this day and age, my way of thinking about this is that if I'm gonna bother to have the object, the media itself, when I live in a time where I can stream literally anything I want at any moment, I might as well spend the extra money and kind of have the more deluxe version of the album at home. It's taking up physical space, it might as well be worth the space. But then again, I know there are people that would refuse to collect like picture discs or anything like that because they sound, to some people's ears, they sound less good, and it's something I've learned is that they're harder to line up. So if you want to look for a particular song, you're less likely to be able to find it. And same with this translucent peach, like I can see both sides at the same time, so it's hard to know where exactly your needle should go if you want to go to the second song. It looks like the second song might start here, but it could also start here, like a quarter-inch away, because of the other side. These are the things. But I'm usually the kind of person who sits and I will listen to the whole album, so cueing isn't as critical as it used to be. I used to make mixtapes with them, and it would have mattered to me more in those days. I remember making a mixtape for my now ex-husband, and he was like, how am I supposed to play this? It was 2003. It wasn't like yesterday, but he was like, I don't have tape deck. The heck? They're authentic. Yeah. Okay. These are damp. Oh yeah, I brought this over because earlier we were talking about Leon Russell, and this is he and Elton John. They did this album in 2010, so it's on the slightly older side, but still relatively new. And I think it's one of the last albums Leon Russell was involved in, quite honestly, because he died shortly after. Probably not immediately after, I don't think, but shortly. Yeah, he was a really, really, really amazing songwriter, for sure. But I always knew that. So when Elton John came out with this album with him, I was like, sold. I don't even need to listen to it first. I'm just gonna go ahead and buy that. And it is a very good one, for sure. I'm glad to have it. In case you don't remember, he wrote a song for you. That was his song. That's what made me think, hey, I should bring this over. Here's a clear one. Really hard to see where the different song tracks are. Really hard to see. Oh, you've not heard of Leon Russell? Oh, well, you're in luck. You can find anything, obviously, nowadays on YouTube or Spotify or wherever. But there's some cool, fun video of him in like the early 70s, because he used to go on TV sometimes. And a lot of people did in those days. And he sang a song for you, his version of it. And I think it was, 72 or 73, and he already had white hair. It was gray, but it was already changing. He was a neat guy, for sure. He kind of, my sister and I talked about it one time, because she's a musician, so she kind of has good ideas about these things. And she said that Leon Russell was interesting. He kind of reminded her vocally of Willie Nelson. He kind of has that sound about him. Which reminds me, I saw a thing on Facebook. Yeah, it was a post on Facebook I saw, and it said Willie Nelson is like 92, and he was on stage, and I forget if he was doing a show or if he was receiving some sort of honor. I don't remember the context anymore, but he was crying. And I was like, oh. And everybody applauded. They were happy tears, not sad tears. But nonetheless, I was like, wow, he's 92? I didn't think he was that old. Ooh, that is nice and shiny now. Wow. You can see my dress. This is my other Ace of Base album. I don't think I said that before when I took it out. Oh, the motorbikers are happy. Even if it's just crotch rockets, they're happy. This album, yes. It's another fun Ace of Base album if you're into it. Which you might be, you might not be, I don't know. There's a green record. Nice dark, like nice emerald green. I bought this when it was brand new in 2023? How old is this? Let's say. Interestingly, I don't know. A couple years ago though. Interesting. I don't see a year. That's very weird. But it's only a couple years old, this one. And it's a really good album for sure. And of course, when they said it's coming out on colored vinyl or standard, I was like, green. Wow. There we go. This one is called Fuse, and it's by Everything But the Girl. It's their latest record, which is really fun because they didn't put a record out for 25 years until this one. So when I found out that it was coming out, I was like, oh, wow. They haven't put an album out since 1999. Crazy. This is a new Carpenter album that I bought recently. Standard black, but it is a nice 180 grams, so it's nice and heavy. It originally came out in 1989. It's a posthumous album. I hope everybody else's day is going well out there. I'm just having a fun day turning right. I know. What's cool about Carpenter's stuff is, for the longest time, right? It was like a shameful, closeted thing if you liked it. And until recently, anyway, there was not much stuff out there, like on social media or anything. Now there are so many social media accounts dedicated to them, like tribute accounts or accounts all about just Karen or just their music, or like, it's very interesting. Now it's totally okay, apparently. And it wasn't okay before to like this style. I was just a little kid when she died, but I kind of remember people talking about it. And what's kind of crazy is that she's been gone longer than she was here, by a long shot. Because she died in 1983 and was 32. It's 7 at night. Yeah, that makes sense. It's 11:11 in the morning here. My clock just changed on my phone. That's how I know. Might as well clean this Celine album. It's sitting here anyway. Looks good. The orange record and the yellow bath, that's really cool. I don't know. These are the things that amuse me. I guess it comes from working with food. I notice colors a lot. Being like, that's not a good color combination. Let's put some purple in there with that yellow. That'll be better. What I find particularly sad about like the whole story of what happened there is that many people that I've talked to, like on Facebook, in the Carpenters like Facebook groups, of which there are many now, a lot of people are young, and like when I say young, like younger than me, like say late teens, early 20s kind of age. And I read a post not very long ago from somebody of that age. And she was like, or they, I shouldn't make the assumption she was a she. They said, why didn't anybody help this woman? She clearly had anorexia. And all of us who are older were like, it's not that they didn't help her, it's that they didn't know how to help her. So she just remained ill because they couldn't help her. They didn't know what they were doing. And also, when somebody is sick like that in your family, you don't want to talk about it. You want to talk about anything but that. So I always feel bad for like Richard Carpenter, her brother. Sometimes, you know, in some ways I feel bad for him because people don't tend to talk to him about music. They tend to talk to him about his sister's terrible disease and struggle and in death. And it's kind of, it's too bad because it's like, for lack of a better metaphor, it's kind of like a one note thing all the time. It's like, there's more to it than just eating disorders and dying, you know, like, that's certainly a factor, but it is interesting to try and think about it. Like, she would have, had she survived the 80s and into the 90s, like, wow, The 90s were like in my view, the era of the diva. Like that was the one thing we really did well in the 90s, I would say. Um, that was something we were good at in those days. So many cool divas came out of that, and all the hip hop and R&B that was popular too. Like there was a lot of really cool stuff. But you know, there was the rise of the divas too, like Whitney and Celine, Mariah. Barbara Streisand, I guess, was like one of the originals from the 70s, of course. But Karen would have been in there with them. Like she had the talent. And it's kind of, it's sad, but it's interesting to consider, like what would that have been like, I wonder. Because she didn't have the traditional diva voice. When I think of like a diva voice, like Celine or somebody, it's a very big kind of voice that fills a lot of space, whereas hers didn't. If you watch Karen singing in concert and stuff when she wasn't lip syncing at all, she is swallowing her microphone. I relate to that, not because I can sing like Karen, holy, but because I have a quiet voice too. And I have to, when I'm being mic'd, I have to hold it like right here. In like videos, when you see me like reading for a video, I have to make sure to like make sure that I'm speaking like right at the microphone so it's not here being distracting. But that's what I'm doing with the microphone is I'm making it as close as I can have it, because I don't have a big voice. I never have. But I argue that she still could have held her own had she made it. Yep, I can see little bits of dirt in there. That satisfies me. All the things that satisfy us. Yeah, the like inherent, family dysfunction and stuff that is kind of riddles that story is hard, because I've read books and stuff about all of it and seen all the documentaries and even the TV movie that they made, and it's so hard because they like, a lot of people have just like vilified her whole family, like her brother and her mother, or especially, like they even, like, some people accused her of being responsible for Karen's death, and it's like, well, I don't think we can go calling it straight up like murder or something. She did have a heart attack because of an eating disorder. It's not like that, but because families are complicated, unfortunately it costs someone their life, and that's too bad. But that is what happens when you are uncomfortable talking about your feelings, because that's what happened apparently to them, is they couldn't communicate beyond the surface level, and I feel like I relate to it a lot. So I guess that's why I know the degree to which I know about it. It's kind of terrifying to consider that we would rather say nothing and watch someone we love dearly suffer, because it makes us that uncomfortable to say even something simple that shouldn't be hard to say, like I love you. That can be so uncomfortable to say for some people, and it can be literally life-threatening, quite honestly. Or people can be so uncomfortable to like give praise that they just don't, and they forget to. And it's not that they don't feel pride or like their child or whoever, you know, deserves the praise. They just don't give it because it makes them that uncomfortable. Ask how I know. I was raised with that kind of people. Central time zone. Oh, 1 o'clock. That's only a couple hours ahead of me. It's 11:20 in the morning here, so not far behind you. So, part of me wants to try using this cloth, but at the same time, I don't want to. Oh, why not? It's just cheesecloth. It's not expensive. Relax. How about, here we go. Elton, another Elton album. These are the bad sleeves. From what I've been told, this thin plastic inside is apparently not good. So I need to be replacing that with something else that doesn't scratch. All right, let's see what happens. Grab it with this and this. Oh yeah, that's the same stuff. I can just tell. Good. I'm happy to know that. Yeah, it's funny. People like my parents are like, why are you doing this? Why are you buying these things? Isn't that going the wrong direction? Kind of, I guess, maybe. But it makes me feel so happy. This is literally like living my teenage self, my teenage dream. There's a good song plug there. Because as a teenager, I couldn't have bought these in this format. They didn't exist. They weren't making them. So now I get to re-listen to everything in this new context. At that time, I was listening to old music by the late 90s. I had to listen to old music because that was what was on records. So I became very well versed in Carpenters, Barry Manilow, Beatles, Rolling Stones, Pink Floyd, who else? Loud little car. I got well versed in kind of British invasion kind of music. I liked Jerry and the Pacemakers and Herman's Hermits sometimes, just for fun. I liked watching like old Ed Sullivan shows. That was fun because you could find them sometimes on TV once in a while. It's just funny to think about like what the different generations, you know, what their impressions are of why we do what we do, right? Because like I've been saying, mom and dad, you know, got rid of the record collection, bought everything again in CD format. And then I stopped buying CDs in the 90s because I got bored with music. I would say I got bored with popular music in the 90s in like 98. It just bored me. I didn't want it anymore. So I started getting the old records because I could get them and afford them and listen to them. So I feel like I missed out on a bunch of music, especially in the 2000s. Like I really wasn't paying attention at all to popular culture in the 2000s. I was too busy. I was in school, I got married, I had a baby, things like that. Popular culture, forgot all about it. But now I'm back. She loved, who, Herman's Hermits? Jerry and the Pacemakers? Those Mersey sounds very across the Mersey. It was just such happy, lovely, you know, post-war kind of cheerful music back in those days. It's a shame that we don't have that anymore. But, well, I shouldn't say we don't have that anymore. I know there's light and airy and silly music nowadays. That's for sure. But I'm too old for it, I guess. It doesn't touch me quite the same way. It's funny to consider. I have some even older records than my mom's records. I have some that are closer to 70 years old that are Bakelite 78s that belonged to my grandparents. They had them so they could learn English. That was how they learned English. They watched TV and they listened to their records. I work with a guy from the Philippines, and he said he did the same thing to learn English too. When he was just a kid over in the Philippines, he would watch like infomercials. He told me he watched stupid old infomercials. He didn't know that's what they were called, but he watched them so he could learn English. I'm like, oh, you only learned stupid things from infomercials. Like, stop! Stop now! It's 6 easy payments of $19.95. Act now, while supplies last. Ta-da! What is that? I think that's an inclusion in the record. I know, you're not supposed to blow. I know. I don't want to touch it either. No, I think that's just a straight up inclusion in the record. Isn't that something? It looks like dirt. It's not though. It's not coming off. Nope, it's just a part of it. Okay. Very interesting. Interesting what you find out. Yes. Same with the 1980s and stuff. Like when I remember popular culture, you know, in my own life experience. That's sort of when I would have been aware of it. And it was like that then too. Music sounded like this album, Celine Dion's debut, Unison. This album still, even today, makes me think of what I thought of the first time I heard it when I was a kid in like 1990. There we go, 1990. I remember thinking the music sounded like, you know, pop, how it's carbonated, or beer, whatever, carbonated drinks with the bubbles. That I sort of remembered thinking that's what the music was like. It was like a carbonated drink. And it was just bubbly and fun and a pleasure to have in your mouth while it's there, and can't wait to have another sip after you've swallowed. That's sort of how I felt about it. It's probably a strange analogy, but that's what happens when you have an abstract brain, as I do. What else should I wash? What the heck? Let's wash this one. It's funny what you remember too about particular albums. I think that happens where you have like a memory that you associate with it because it happened at the same time as you were listening to it or something. Because I remembered this album when it was new, and Paula Cole did an appearance on the Rosie O'Donnell show, back when Rosie O'Donnell had her own like variety talk show. I don't know if very many people remember that anymore, but she did. In the early 90s. I remember it well. I used to watch it every day after school, because she was funny. And she's less funny now, but she was funny then. It's kind of mixed bag, unfortunately. That's the thing. Popular culture is so complicated now. It used to be like, so-and-so is funny. But nowadays, it's not that simple. Nowadays, it's like, they used to be funny until they turned out to be racist. Or something like that. Or they were in the Epstein files or something. You know, that kind of thing. There was a time when nobody knew about that stuff. I'm not saying we shouldn't know things. We should know things, but it's complex with music, you know, like, and people behind the scenes of music. Stop me if I'm prattling. If you have other questions that are more important, please ask them, but I'm just kind of going on and on. Yeah. Like, I grew up with listening, as a lot of people did, you know, they started in the 60s and went all the way through the 70s, would have been the Jacksons, like the Jackson 5, and then the Jacksons, you know, when Michael left, and, you know, Michael Jackson, right? Listened to him all the time. My mom was a fan. She really liked Off the Wall and Thriller. Those were like the two really big Michael albums that my mom was fond of and we used to hear. And, you know, it wasn't a controversial thing, and now it kind of is, and it's like, oh, but the memories are fond. But I don't want to condone bad behavior, but the music was so good and fun. Yep, you are dry. That's 11:33 on my clock. Neat. I can just imagine most people that I know in my daily life seeing me with all of the sleeves and jackets and taking everything apart, washing it, drying it, putting it back together. It's a lot of work, but I don't mind though. It's strange. You'd think it would be tedious, but it isn't. I really don't mind. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I can do it. I think I've got clean enough. Yeah. Yes, there's definitely debris here. That's a good feeling. Feels like I'm cleaning something. Yeah, right? Yeah, I remember Mom she really liked like Off the Wall and Thriller, and didn't seem to really be interested in anything much after that. But I remember like my friends on the street where we would have been living at that time, like when Bad came out and that sort of era happened, I remember like the teenagers at the time were getting their copies and listening to them and kind of hearing them and listening to them with the older kids and being like, oh, that's cool, I can dig. My first like 90s sort of album that I bought of his would have been Dangerous. That was like 91, if I'm not mistaken, something like that, early 90s. And then I got, because I was really fond of the song on the radio, I got the album called History in 1995. I got that on CD because that was the only way to get it back then. But I have a copy now as well of History, and I have a copy of Dangerous on picture discs. But I'm kind of reticent to talk about it because he's polarizing figure. So, you know, that's the thing that makes it hard. Tap. Can't do that. Just push it around, silly. Yeah, Off the Wall's cool. That's an interesting bit of trivia, Off the Wall, the song Off the Wall. That was pitched. The songwriter, Rod Temperton, I believe is his name. He wrote Thriller too. It was a demo tape presented to Karen Carpenter when she was selecting songs for her solo album that she made in 1979. Can you imagine Karen singing Off the Wall? I can't. I know she could sing anything, theoretically, but I just can't imagine. I can't imagine that song with. They would have had to change the arrangement entirely and change the whole feel of the song. It wouldn't have been like a funk song, I don't think, if she was to sing it. She didn't. She didn't sing it. That's something I will never probably ever be able to find in LP format. Karen's solo album. It was released in 1996 on CD, and I have it. I did buy it when it was new, but I can only imagine it would be nicer to have it in LP form. We just had the 50th anniversary of Carpenter's Horizon, actually. I think it was the 5th or the 6th of June, something like that, 1975, so it's been 50 years since that album's release originally. Anyway, her solo album in 1979 was never released commercially because apparently, according to the lore, the record company didn't want to release it, and her family didn't support her to release it, so it was never released until 1996, and only then I think it was just due to pressure from fans more than anything, because Richard always goes on record as saying he doesn't like it, which is kind of a contradiction, because if you know the tracks from that album, you will recognize, I think there's 4 or 5 of them. 4 or 5 of those songs. Where are they? One, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 songs on this album that were on her solo album, in case you're interested. This record is called Love Lines, and that is one of the songs from her solo record. So when he goes on the record, so to speak, saying he didn't like her solo album, I'm like, but you took 4 of the songs after she died and kind of remastered them and put them out as an album. Just saying. And other people have said the same thing. It's not my great big insight, but it's interesting what goes on. Are there any records that I really want to get? Yeah, actually, there's a few. I should copy the link. I think I can, and I'll put it in, like, once this gets uploaded to YouTube for replay. I think I can put a link in the description for it. Shouldn't be too hard to do. But I have an Amazon list of records that I would like that I don't have yet, and some of them I don't have yet because they're really hard to find, or if you can find them, they're a fortune. Like, I would say, honestly, honest to goodness, I've paid a lot of money for records before. I really have. But once we get past like $450, like, I gotta really, really, really want it bad, and I'm gonna not lie, I've never spent that much money on one album before. But if I liked it enough and it was rare enough, I might consider it at a different point in life, but I have not yet to this point. So, and some albums are just not being reproduced in this format for some reason. I guess they figure the sales weren't enough at the time and they don't want to generate merchandise that doesn't sell. I don't know. But so I should publish that list, and I invite anyone who wants to go hunting and find. I shop a lot on eBay. If I can't find it affordably on Amazon or in a thrift store or at a local record shop. There's a couple of those now, which is kind of nice. All right, some Hootie and the Blowfish. Hootie and his fish. I'd say there's a couple albums that I really, really want, but either I can't find them or they're a fortune, and that would be David Bowie. There's 2 David Bowie albums from the 2000s that I really, really like. One's called Heathen, and the other one is called Reality. They came out in, I want to say Heathen came out in like 2001 or 2. And Reality came out right after that. I think it was 2004, maybe 5, something like that. I was in college. I was just starting college when that one came out. And I found it on eBay, but it's very expensive, and Amazon doesn't have it anymore. I found the colored versions on eBay for like, $400+ bucks. I'm just like, no, that's way too much money. Even though I love myself that album, I love myself some Bowie sometimes, but that I can't pay and justify it. It just doesn't seem quite right. Maybe if it was like a gold record and in a frame. But then it'd be in a frame and you can't listen to that. Yeah, that really does make them shine nicer, I must say. Even though I've washed like a ton, they're still coming out nice and shiny. I'm trying to think of other albums that I would want. I'm looking at the little bit of CDs I have left over there, because those are kind of what I've been looking at to rebuy. So yeah, the David Bowies. There's a couple of McCartney albums that I can't find. Either because they didn't produce them or because they weren't popular sellers when they were new on CD. They're new McCartneys, newer. I think Memory Almost Full is one that I really like, and that one came out in 2007. I have it on like special edition CD. I did spend the money on the deluxe, the most deluxe version I could find at the time. But that one is one that you don't really see anywhere. I've never found it on vinyl anywhere. But it wasn't a very popular album either, so I don't know. There's another one that he did called Kisses on the Bottom. That's a really nice album. I really like it a lot. I used to be able to see it on Amazon, but it's apparently out of stock. So I don't have it, but it's a good one. Oh, the other McCartney that I would love to have a copy of, but again, the only time I've found it is for like hundreds and hundreds of dollars because it's rare. It's an album that came out in 1999. Yeah, it was either 1999 or 2000, something like that, turn of the century. And it is called Run Devil Run. It's a really cool one. It's actually the first album he produced after his wife Linda died, and it was all kinds of 50s inspired music that he would have listened to in his youth. And they were original songs that he wrote, but they had the 50s kind of vibe to them. There was definitely like an Elvis kind of feeling to it. And it is a good album. I quite enjoyed it. But again, I think people might think it's a bit of a novelty, and that's why they haven't released it on vinyl. I don't know. Yeah. Better solo debut, McCartney or Lennon? What would be considered John's first solo release? Are we talking like Two Virgins with Yoko in like 68? Or does that kind of not count? When I think of like John's first record after the Beatles, I think of like Imagine. That's what I think of. But I'm not sure if that's actually correct. I imagine there's a bigger John Lennon person out there than me who would know that off the top of their head. But I don't. But Imagine is a good record. Like, I quite like it. I like that one. I like Mind Games. That's a good one. Walls and Bridges. I used to have an original pressing of Walls and Bridges, and that album, I think it's from 75. I had a copy that I bought in about 2003 or so, but I've since sold it. It was an original pressing, and it had the flaps. The album jacket actually had, there were like little flaps on it because there's an image of him, and then there's all the glasses that he's wearing on his face. There's like a stack of glasses in the picture. It's really fun. I'm not describing it very well, but if you go and look for the art, you'll see what I mean. But I had one with the flaps that work. The re-releases didn't have the little fun jacket flaps. I had that one though for years, and I had Two Virgins too for a long time. I had it in the original like paper bag wrapper. It came wrapped in like a brown paper sort of paper bag that came up shorter than the jacket, so you could see their faces on it, and it said Two Virgins on the paper. And it was so funny because I'd never seen this record before, and I was collecting at a flea market one day, and I saw it in the brown paper, and my, I guess, record collecting mentor that I had at the flea market, I used to sell records for him all the time afterwards, he took it down and was like, "Have you ever seen this one?" And I was like, no, I haven't. And bearing in mind I was about, I don't know, 16, maybe 17, something like that. And he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna show you, but we gotta be careful. There might be kids." And I was like, "What?" So he took it out of the jacket, and they're standing there naked on the cover. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "Just saying, that's what the jacket is." And I was like, "Well, what kind of music is it? Because I don't care about the nudity, whatever." Like, that's fine. He was like, "I call it recorded art." I was like, "Okay." And he gave it to me. He gave me the copy. I didn't even pay for it. But I looked at the like record valuing books and stuff that they had at the time, and it was worth a lot of money. It was worth, I think back then, it was worth $150 or so ish, and I didn't pay for it at all. The flea market guy's like, "I like your face," you know, that kind of thing. "So I'll give this to you. Why not? I'm feeling generous today." It was one of those situations. So, but I've since sold it. I sold it because I was like, I never listened to this. And something that you learn when you collect records, but you also move, is that they're heavy. Holy crap. When you have like a million shelves of records to move, so you gotta like them, and you gotta want to listen to them. And if I'm not listening to it, I don't want it. For that reason, I've had to move records so many times that I don't listen to. And that's why I'm careful about the ones that I'm going about collecting now, you see. Because I don't want to be hauling things around that I don't like and that I don't really want, but I'm unable to get rid of them, you know? I want to do that. Oh. Well, your setup sounds like it's a lot more audiophile than mine. I don't have like a stereo with, you know, components or anything. I actually have just a Victrola. Um, it's an all-in-one sort of little unit. It's just a record player, and it works as a Bluetooth speaker, and you could, I think, maybe get some radio on it if you wanted to. It has a radio in there, but it's hard to pick up radio signals nowadays. I find it nearly impossible. So just because of the world we're living in now, you know. So I don't have, you know, a super cool audiophile setup, that's for sure. But it works. It does the job, and you can get, you know, replacement needles relatively cheaply and affordably. I got like 4 of them. Yeah. In a bag. So I can easily change them and stuff too, which is good. But I most certainly don't have, you know, fancy setup or anything. They do at the record store down the street. I went in there one day to ask about record jacket protectors and stuff, and it was the strangest thing because it was kind of backwards to what I was expecting. They had all new stereo equipment, and, you know, like the highfalutin price tag stuff. Like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be having access to that kind of disposable money for stereo equipment, because that ain't cheap stuff. But all the records, they had a small record shelf, and I went over to it just out of curiosity. They're all like ancient records, and they're not even like good. It was really weird. I was like, you're a store with like $5,000 amplifiers and, you know, like turntables that cost equally as much, and you have used thrift store kind of quality records? Are you serious? Like, I kind of curled my nose at it and was like, the people who shop here would be more than happy to pay like $50-$60 for an album. That's pretty standard going rate nowadays for a new record, but it's a new record, you know, like it's just interesting. I hassled him about it and was like, you should be getting new stuff, my guy. Because your customers would prefer, I'm thinking, to get their new stereo equipment and be playing new records on it, not garbage records. I don't know. Just saying, if you have 10 grand for a stereo system setup, you probably can afford 60 or 70 or plus dollars for the records that you play. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being rude and judgmental, which is entirely possible. Because I'm going to the trouble of buying all these new records, and my equipment is not audiophile equipment. One could argue I'm just as bad. So that's a long-winded answer, isn't it? Okay. I'm just being a Nazi here because I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you're not careful, gatefold albums that are double albums, so each side has a record in it, nowadays they get stuck like down at the bottom here where the spine is, and they're hard to pull out, and they also damage your spine, and it's just like I hate that. So I always kind of leave the inner sleeve, I kind of leave it out slightly so that it's not all the way to the bottom. Come on now. There you go. Well, There's definitely debris in here. I don't know if you could really see it. I don't know. I don't want to tip it too far, but there is. There's gunk in the bottom. Which again, it makes me feel like the soap lathered enough and therefore it's clean. The records are now clean. So, since I'm out of records to wash, I'm gonna do what the book says to do, and I'm gonna take out the brushes. It actually expressly tells you this. Take out the brushes when you're done and let them dry rather than sitting in the bath. It also says you're only supposed to wash a few, depending how dirty your records are, before you have to throw this out. So I'll probably just get rid of this because it's, yep, there's sediment in there now. So there we are. It's 12 o'clock. I've been live with you for 2 whole hours. I'm frankly surprised. I wasn't sure if anybody would want to see me wash records. So I'm glad that you did and that you're here. That's cool. Thanks for coming. I can always wash more at another time because I gotta get cleaned up and, believe it or not, get ready for bed because I gotta wake up at midnight. So that means I have to start gearing down for the day, unfortunately. But muffins need to be made in the morning. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. So I guess that's that. It was nice to see you. I know it's been a long time since I've been live. I forget when I was live last. March or April, something like that. So hopefully it can be more of a common occurrence. We'll give it a try, that's for sure. It was nice to talk to y'all, and I will see you next time. Definitely leave comments below if once the video goes up for replay, obviously, and let me know whatever you want to let me know, as I'm sure you will. I'll talk to you later.